That's going to be a tough one because I want to make sure I get that one like exact. So, oh, that's easy. Now I can't breathe.
Shocked. Honored. I'd been a volunteer since day one, before LTN even had its name, and to be asked to officially work for Love Thy Nerd was just unbelievable. I still don't believe it, even though I've been here for quite a while now.
So when I was officially asked to join LTN, that's actually a tough question, because I felt like there was always an open seat for me. I don't recall having an exact time where it's like, hey, we want you to come do LTN full time. I kind of just like squeezed my way in. But to be honest, like when it, push came to shove and I joined LTN full time, I'll be honest, it was a little bit scary. And at the time, it was just very uncertain. Going into full-time nerd culture missions, there's just a lot of unknowns. It was not your typical job. It was, fundraising. It was being an outreach, doing all this stuff, like working from home. So it was definitely different. It was definitely scary. But like now looking back, I wouldn't change anything. I'm definitely super thankful for this opportunity. I'm definitely thankful for the way LTN operates and the team that we have and moving forward and the impact that we're making in nerd culture missions. So short answer, it was scary at first, but I'm definitely super thankful for my journey and how I got here.
So when I was asked to join staff, it was about a year after I had already started like really getting involved with LTN. And it was actually like this culmination, this vindication, I guess, of this grand scheme that I had to infiltrate Love Thy Nerd since hearing about it for the first time in 2018. I was running my own ministry called Back Row Radio, and it was an online radio station. We had our own like morning show, all these kind of stuff going on, and I wanted to be a part of Love Thy Nerd. And we partner with Love Thy Nerd a lot, and Love Thy Nerd started doing some stuff for Back Row Radio, and so we had this partnership ongoing the whole time. In early 2020, I just pulled the trigger and asked Bubba, hey, what would you think if Back Row Radio became LTN Radio and we just come under your umbrella? And they were very gracious. He was like, I don't want to, this Back Row was your baby. I don't want to just squash it or erase it or anything like that. And so he really made sure that I was cool with this idea. But little did he know I was squealing like a little girl, so excited that he was even considering taking it to the founders to see if this was a possibility. And so I got to get involved with all these other things and started working with the podcast network as a whole, and really started just trying to pull my weight and prove my worth. And so when I was asked to be a member of staff, I was just over the moon. There's so few of my schemes in this life that have actually worked. So now the next scheme is to make myself so invaluable that if they ever decide they don't want me on the team, the whole thing will crumble. That's...
The thing that I am most proud of with Love Thy Nerd is that we work with people and companies who are not Christian, like on mission at conventions, working booths and things like that. And we have built such great relationships with them that they want us around. They want this ministry around, and even representing their brands. We're helping to close that gap between church and nerd culture, and I think that's amazing, and it's amazing to see it actually in action.
So one of the biggest accomplishments, one of the things I'm looking forward to is definitely an easy answer for me. Last year was the first year we brought the LTN Con back to an in-person event after all of the COVID complications and all of that. So we brought it back in person. I just loved seeing people face to face, seeing the community come together brought me pure joy, just kind of like watching people like in the sessions and playing games together and wandering around the vendor hall. But just like the community coming together, and I was just super thankful for that. I was so stoked to see that come to light, and it was definitely not something I did, but we had an awesome team pull that together. And just looking forward to like play into that, looking forward to NCMS or the Nerd Culture Mission Summit or the Nerd Culture Ministry Summit. That's coming up this November, and super excited about that. Like, we are focusing in on training people to better love and serve their nerdy neighbors. And we want like pastors there, ministry leaders, youth leaders, you name it. We want everyone there. It's going to be in Texas. I'm super looking forward to that, and just kind of seeing that spin off into like just a repeat event year to year. It's going to be huge. And it's going to be a huge blessing to churches, ministries, organizations around the states, hopefully around the globe.
LTN, just in the time that I've been here, which has only been the last couple of years, has accomplished a lot of really, really cool things. LTN Radio launched on the first day of the first online LTN Con, which was the second ever LTN Con, but it had to be online that year because of COVID in 2020. And that in itself, holding an online convention when you'd never done that before and you'd barely been doing conventions at all, that was a big, big deal. Now, I didn't really get to play a part in that at all. The next year, it was even better. I didn't get to play a part in that at all either, other than just what LTN Radio did. But it was so, so cool to see how well those were put together. But then to actually get to go to LTN Con this last year, and finally the second one ever live in person, first one I'd ever been to. I don't know if you know this, but the people that have been doing this Love Thy Nerd stuff are pretty darn good at what they do. I'm just blown away at how much they put together, and I love the fact that I get to claim just a little bit of piece of that as is my handiwork. But no, I'm very proud of LTN Radio. Of course, I think that this is a unique thing for a ministry like ours to have a full-fledged 24/7 radio station playing best Christian rock, rap, pop, and indie you got, man, and there's original programming as well. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of, I sound biased because I'm the director of content and resources now, but I really am proud of our content and resources. I'm really proud of the podcast network and what we've done. I'm proud of what I've gotten to do with Mo for the Back Row Morning Show for the last, 5-6 years, long time. All of our shows are fantastic. All the people that put them together are amazing. There's just not much I'm not proud of and excited about, you know? Let's just leave it at that.
Over the last 5 years, I've made a lot of friends online, working and running the communities. I think my biggest and best memories have been last year once, we were able to do conventions and stuff again. I went to Gen Con on mission, and then, of course, LTN Con, I was there, and actually meeting a lot of these people in person, getting to hug them and see their amazing faces. That's way high up there for me, probably the top. But even just going to Gen Con on mission to work booths, I think being able to go and see LTN in action and see the work that we do around, people who maybe don't even know who we are yet. And also the opportunity I had to build my relationships and strengthen those relationships with my coworkers, my bosses, and our volunteer team. It's something I'll never forget. That was really incredible.
Some of my favorite memories from the past 5 years of LTN, I haven't even been around LTN that long. But honestly, short answer is just like meeting people and building relationships. It all started with meeting Matt and Bubba in person. And they were just like, hey, do you like board games? You should come over. And then if you look behind me, I have a lot of board games now. But just building that relationship with them, like here internally, and and with the rest of the staff, but also just with the community, like meeting people by just like streaming or being on the internet or like being in the Discord or like going to conventions, just playing a game with people. It's just been super cool to just meet people that are also nerdy, but like the bonds that have been formed, like the relationships, they're real people, and I love all of the friends that I have now through this. And so, yeah, nothing like super specific, just the ability to build real, long-lasting relationships with people where we challenge each other and not just play games.
Some of the favorite memories that I've had so far being involved with LTN, of course, just like I said in the last answer, LTN Con this past year, getting to put faces, literal faces, seeing with my own eyes, all these amazing people, getting to meet them, to hug them in real life. That was some life-giving nourishment. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff that you crave, your body craves, your mind craves, just meeting the people that you've loved online for so long. And so that was really, really cool. Last year, we got to the 500th episode of the Back Row Morning Show, me and Mo, and that was a big deal. Like, I couldn't realize we'd hit that milestone. Now, not all of those were with Love Thy Nerd, but at least half of them were. I mean, it's been a long haul, man. We've wrapped up 10 seasons here, and I'm excited about that. But other things are like, the online streams. We had the Giving Tuesday stream this last holiday season, which was in like an all-day variety thing where we kept pinging back and forth to different shows and game streams and playthroughs and ended with like a staff game night where all of us played Pico Park at the end. Like that was an undertaking, and I know Bubba was flailing his arms behind the scenes most of the time because OBS was giving him so much problems, but I think it was really fun. It was like having like a mini online LTN convention. That probably has been my favorite day online in the last few years.
In 5 years, I believe we'll be at cons all the time. I think we're going to have the resources and the people to build those teams and be able to do multiple shows a year instead of just, 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. Bigger shows, smaller shows, I think will be around a lot more. I think the online communities are going to be bigger and better with lots of events and cool stuff going on all the time. And I know for sure, LTN Con and the upcoming brand new Nerd Culture Summit, they're only going to get better and better, and 5 years from now, well, that's a few more years that we've been able to build that up, and I think that they're going to be amazing by then, not that they're not amazing already.
Man, 5 years from now, I would love to see LTN go international. I want to see us having a regular missions trip to Essen over in Germany. I want to see like pop-up groups and game nights and you name it, just across the globe. That would be amazing. I would love to see us go up to Canada. I know that's not super far from us, but it's still international. We have a lot of our friends up there. But I'd also love to see the like LTN headquarters, LTN HQ like flourish and grow. Not only to just reach out to our local community, but also to just kind of set the bar, set an example, or like be an example and a resource for other people to do the same thing in their communities and their local neighborhoods and everything. Those are the two biggest things I'd love to see, and I have no doubt that we can accomplish in the next 5 years.
Where's LTN going to be 5 years from now? I can't tell you. I'm not the visionary. All right, I'm the do stuff guy. I'm the 26-hour workday guy. I'm the guy that gets told where we're going, and I'm like, I'm gonna help you get there. But I will tell you that I'm gonna be along for the ride. Ain't no way I'm walking away from Love Thy Nerd. This is such a fantastic ministry, and I've seen God move in so many ways, and seeing how we are kind of transitioning from solely focusing on nerds and nerd culture to now trying to educate churches and church culture to get to combine them both together again, the way God intended, the way it should be. I'm on fire for what God is doing, how God is moving, and the direction that he's taking LTN at present. So in 5 years, I can't imagine where we're going to be, but I know that if we all manage to keep our focus on following God's leading in this whole thing and putting our junk aside, then it's going to be in a fantastic place, and I don't want to miss it.
I'm always praying that God continues to speak and work through our ministry. I ask for his guidance that we may continue to do this work and reach others, especially those outside of the church who just need to be loved. People who need a family, need friends, need people to play games with. I ask God frequently that we can continue to be those people and teach other people to be those people, and just to continue to grow just nerd culture and church culture together, and just keep us on top of our game and excited about our work. And I'm always excited about my work, so I think God is listening very well because he loves us.
That's easy. I pray that God would continue to use me in this crazy space of nerd culture missions, and that I would just be a help and not a hindrance in the nerd culture mission space. And so that includes just building relationships, being a part of these mission trips, building relationships locally and on the internet, everywhere. And so I just want to keep the main thing, and stay focused on our mission, and that is to love and serve nerds and nerd culture.
When I pray for LTN, the main thing I pray for, and I think a couple other people have said this in the interviews, but it's, please don't let me screw it up. Because LTN has been on an upward trajectory, and I don't want anything in our personal lives to hinder that in any way. And so I pray for guidance. I pray for strength in our leadership. I pray for Bubba and Matt, who are heading up the high offices here, because that puts a lot of burden on their shoulders, a lot of responsibility. I pray for every volunteer that sacrifices their time and their energy for, at the moment, no money or any kind of compensation, but just because they love thy nerd, and they love nerds, and they love God. And, those three things combined have created some amazing things. So I pray for them. I pray for their continued willingness to be a part of this organization. And the hope is that this grows and grows and grows, and eventually we have a huge staff of people that we can actually pay. But we're leaps ahead of where we were just in the last year. But even that was leaps ahead of where they were when they started. And I mean, God's got this. And so the main thing that I pray for is that we can trust his process, trust him, be patient on where he's taking us. Don't try to rush things in our own direction because we get too excited, but just to trust the process. God's going to get us there wherever there is.